for the second time tonight.
At this point, you are dealing with a tired team.
How many plays are we at now? We were at 80 some plays a couple
89.
drives. 89 football snaps. And again, Brian, this isn't the worst defense in America. This is a group that's been bad in spurts, but this is from beginning to end complete domination by Oregon.
I will say this about Washington. They are not a deep team. Willingham needs another year's worth of recruiting because the cupboard was awfully bare. Had guys that were not only a little bit lacking in the talent department, but also psychologically. Had a bunch of guys that were broken, didn't believe in themselves. It's sort of like Andre Crenshaw believes in himself, and just one more guy, and Crenshaw had his third touchdown of the night, and that is a new Oregon single-game rushing record.
And you talk about depth, Brian. You talk about depth. How about Andre Crenshaw was the third running back? And we documented well tonight that Jeremiah Johnson, the backup, blew his knee out, done for the year. Andre Crenshaw, you've seen as this game has gone on. Early in the game, maybe a little tentative on some of those runs. Now he's trying to make every play that Jonathan Stewart has made, and the depth that they've assembled down in Eugene. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the next couple weeks because this team is definitely on the radar. They're number 7 in the country, and they're going to get a chance over the next 2 weeks against SC and Arizona State to really make their case for what could be a national championship run.
College football on FSN, brought to you by Quest, the spirit of service, and by Sterling Savings Bank, the perfect fit bank. Well, let's go back to that. The Ducks come in here 10th in the BCS Bowl. Arizona State is 8th. Arizona State, Oregon State, and Washington State all off. Undefeated UCLA, undefeated in conference play UCLA at Washington State. Part of our FSN college football triple header next week. But next week, USC at Oregon. The following week, Arizona State also undefeated in conference play at Oregon. Arizona at Tucson for the Ducks. And then on November the 24th, Oregon, and this could be the big one. Oregon at UCLA, and then they finish up with the Civil War at home on December the 1st. And there's another one. Speaking of please, sir, may I have another? Remine Alston scampering around the corner for redshirt freshman out of Greensboro, North Carolina. First touchdown of his career.
Oh, he gets the credit, but watch the play up front. Wow, that is what you call a pancake block by the Oregon Ducks. Just adding insult to injury here, finishing this game out and literally throwing this front 7 around.
I used the word beatdown before. We're back in the beatdown zone. We started the fourth quarter tied at 31, and Oregon has asserted itself in a big way. Evenson, he'll sleep well tonight. A couple of big field goals for him.
What am I reading on the stats here? What am I seeing in Husky Stadium here tonight? Am I seeing 652 total yards?
No, 662.
Oh, 662.
You're bad.
My bad. 400. Don't short them 10 yards.
And Dennis Dixon. And again, let's go back. Last year, 7 games last year. He had a good start. 7 games last year. The guy averaged 120 yards a game. Threw 9 picks, 2 touches, got benched for the Civil War. Dixon comes back. I mean, really a remade man. You talk about Chip Kelly. You talk about some of the things that he's experienced in terms of Dixon going to play minor league baseball. You learn how to come back from a bad night day after day after day. But I'll go back to the point I made before. Kelly has given this guy, just like Locker has in Tim Lopano, he has got a guy who says, I believe in you. And that's really what Dennis Dixon needed, you ask me.
Absolutely.
And good on him. Rankin, touchback. Dixon tonight, 19 of 30, 196 yards. He's only thrown for 1 touchdown, so they have scored 6 rushing touchdowns.
And I hate to do this, but to look at the flip side, to look at what Oregon has done, and maybe the path now that they're on, but what does this loss do for Washington? 2-4. This was a game tonight. There was already some finger pointing possibly going on. Some guys questioning What direction can we go? If they're going to go to a bowl game, they had to have this win tonight. And not only do you lose tonight, yes, you're in the fourth quarter, but it is incredibly demoralizing to have 653 yards. Now you look at their schedule. The beast in this Husky schedule has been this first 7. There's not been a breather at all. But can they rebound from what has become just an incredibly demoralizing victory here in Seattle?
5 consecutive losses, so 2-5 on the season. One thing that the Huskies were pretty plain about this year is that they expected to go to a bowl game. Now you are very much on the bubble. One more loss, and that is probably not going to happen. And you saw at the end of the season, you talk about the bear of the schedule, but they go to Hawaii, which, by the way, Oregon's 5th in the nation in scoring at 45 points. Hawaii is number 1 behind a guy in Colt Brennan. By the way, Dixon for Heisman Trophy? How can he not be a legitimate candidate?
And he's going to get a chance over the next 2 weeks to not, we talked about from the team, but from an individual level now, they're going to get a chance to state their case. And what about Jonathan Stewart? What about his night tonight now and his statistics? And from here on out,
ineligible receiver.
And from here on out, not having to share some of that load with Jeremiah Johnson. And they've shown tonight now a very capable backup running back. If Jonathan Stewart touches the ball 25 times a game, what kind of numbers is he going to put up over the last 5 weeks for Oregon? This is an incredible group offensively. Boy, their mix of run and pass and their ability to do just what they want to do and dictate is something that I haven't seen matched in college football this year.
Locker going over the top from Marcel Reese. That one overthrown. Locker started out very well, but in the end is 12 of 30, 257 yards. He did tie his best game of the season with 4 touchdowns. But as the air has gone out of the Huskies wagon here in the fourth quarter, and it really was a ball game through 3, now the numbers begin to pale, and that's just what happens when you find yourself down 3 touchdowns. Down the stretch. Pressure, and the tight end can't hang on to it. Robert Lewis. What about ways to help Jake Locker? We talked about that. Lewis Rankin tonight has delivered a tremendous performance. 11 carries, 73 yards, but also catching the ball, the 43-yard catch and run for the touchdown, so over 100 total yards. The receivers. This is where, again, another recruiting class, another group of guys who are a little bit, and they have some guys in the pipeline. You need receivers who can separate. This season, the tight end has really sort of dropped out of the repertoire. And that, again, it's an issue of separation.
Look at Tyrone Willingham and Tim Lopano. They're both talking to their guy. They're saying, hey, listen, tonight, not our night. There really was nothing, to answer your question, that he could have done tonight. He would have had to play the apps, made every single play. He made 90% of the ones that were there. But I think you saw a couple coaches there patting him on the belly saying, not your fault. We got a lot to correct, and it starts defensively.
It's all over, but the quacking at Husky Stadium, Dennis Dixon is the undisputed leader of this Oregon offense that has come in here and made a real statement.
And he's going to get a lot of the credit. He deserves it. Look at his athleticism, his ability, his patience, his poise. That right there, that is a play you draw up on the blackboard, and teams in junior high can draw it up. And why doesn't it look so good when we do it, when it looks so good when Dixon does it? Because of that timing, that innate little ability, that little clock in his head to understand exactly when I need to pull this ball out and when I need to make a play with my own feet.
And when did he make those plays? When they needed them in the second half.
Absolutely. And I give my last hat tip here as we tick down in our last minute that, yes, Dennis Dixon was spectacular tonight. Yes, Jonathan Stewart was spectacular tonight. Yes, their receivers, they caught the ball for the most part. But how about these big bodies up front? And that's what struck me the most and probably surprised me the most in our conversation with defensive coordinator Kent Baer at Washington, when he said this Oregon group, you know what sets them apart? They've always been good offensively. They've always had a lot of people, a lot of talent. But this offensive line, these 5 guys, starting with their center, starting with Max Unger in the middle of that offensive line, this is the most athletic, dominant group that Oregon has had.
Well, Steve Greatwood, their O-line coach, 23 years. They have 9 guys, including Bellotti, who combined for 135 years of coaching experience. And the players come and go, but if you have a guy teaching what to do in the trench for 23 straight years, everybody for generations learns the same system.
And how about senior, junior, senior, junior on that offensive line? Veteran guys that now understand what they've got ahead of them. They're not just playing for the Pac-10 championship, Brian.
He played, Max Unger did, the center, played for Bernd Brostek. Brostek honored tonight as a Husky great. And Unger comes in here and shows his high school coach just what a winner looks like as Dennis Dixon leads Oregon to what turns into a blowout victory, a 21-point advantage when all is said and done. Cameron Wong and Jason Gesser at our College Football Northwest studios. Props all the way around to the Ducks, now 6-1.